Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see you all today as we spend a little bit of time together on this Friday, 17th of April. Hope you all are doing well as the week comes to a conclusion and we, look to the weekend. I know kind of in a lot of ways, the weeks and the weekends are just kind of odd because they seem to be the same thing. It's great to be with you today. It's great to be part of whatever is going on, whatever your life brings, whatever is happening now. It's nice to have you a little bit of time in my office together. It sounds like things are still kind of unclear. There's a couple of announcement type things. We're going to be worshiping live. We're going to come to you live on Sunday at 11 o'clock. The worship outline for the week was put out in the weekly email as well as posted up on my blog. You can find that through the website, livingbody.org. Just click on the pastor's page and then Pastor Muse's blog down as a drop-down menu. As well, communion wafers are out on the back, on the porch, on the entryway by the office door. They're going to be out there till 2 o'clock today, and then they'll be out there again tomorrow from 10:30 to 2 for your availability if you'd like to come and pick up wafers for communion. We will be celebrating the sacrament on Sunday, so we invite you to come out for that as we come together as people of God separately. I know that's kind of been the tagline, together separately. We're in this together. We are. We're all doing the best we can to try to mitigate things and keep the curve down so that we can get through this. Certainly encourage you, if you have to go out, to wear gloves and some kind of face covering, some kind of mask. A lot of different things out there right now. So that's really important. It's really important for your own health, for your own protection and safety. And really, this kind of thing. If we take care of ourselves, then we take care of each other. And if we take care of each other, then we take care of ourselves. We are all in this together. This is a human thing. This is, as I said before, this is not a black or white thing. This is not a male or female thing. This is a human thing, and we all are in this human journey together. I've been thinking a lot about, obviously, as we're staying home, and as we look out into the summertime now, we start thinking about vacations and traveling and trips. And this time of year, my wife and I, and sometimes my mother as well, we would travel to Gettysburg for what was a festival called History Meets the Arts. Gettysburg was a really cool place. Gettysburg is a really cool place to go and visit, and I hope to get back there sometime soon. I hope to be able to return to that hallowed ground. For anybody who's a history buff, Gettysburg was a pivotal point in the Civil War, and this would be a really good time. Excuse me. This should be a really good time, as you're home, maybe if you have never done it before, if with your kids, to look at, some tours of Gettysburg, or even there's a lot of museums out there that are doing free virtual tours, Smithsonian, the Louvre, I believe the Cairo Museum is, so, there's a lot of stuff out there you can see, a lot of information you can get. I know you can't go there, but it's worth a look. Well, anyway, so Gettysburg, when you're driving through the battlefield, okay, one of the things that they have on the battlefield in Gettysburg, they have these lookout towers, and I believe there's 3 of them. And I always think of the biggest one, the tallest one that looks out. And my geography is failing me at the moment, but you look out over kind of the wheat field, you see the seminary in the distance, you get a really good picture of the whole of the battlefield in Gettysburg. You get a really good picture of the whole of what took place in Gettysburg. It's a really good historical place. But when you go up to the top of this lookout tower, there's a parking lot underneath, and the road kind of comes in, and then there's a lookout tower that goes up, and then the road goes on. So when you're up at the lookout tower and you're looking out over all the sites, and they've got all these different pictures, you can see the road that you drove in on. You can see the road that you travel into the parking spot. Okay. You can see how you got there. You can follow the road down back to where you came from. But the road forward, the road leaving, well, you can't really see it because of the way the trees have grown. You just see kind of little glimpses of it. You see little glimpses of where you're going. And when I think of that vision, I kind of think of the Transfiguration when Jesus and the disciples are up on Mount Tabor, Mount Transfiguration. In that, they can look down and they knew where they were coming from. They knew how they got there. They just didn't know where they were going. They wanted to stay there, but they didn't know where they were going. Jesus did. Jesus knew how they were going to get where they were going to go, but the disciples didn't know where they were going. They wanted to go back. Actually, they wanted to stay. They didn't know where they were going, but Jesus did. And that's a really powerful thing, and on Wednesday at the midweek lessons, I was reading. I did the readings for Wednesday. I share with Pastor Diana and I, and we came to that piece in the 3rd chapter of Joshua. Joshua being, the one who was the disciple of Moses, the follower of Moses, the one who took over after Moses died. It was Joshua who led the people into the promised land. Now, the people had never been to the promised land. It had been over 400 years since the Israelites left the promised land to come back. They had no idea what they were getting into. So when God told Joshua to prepare the people to leave, to go into the promised land, God led the way. God led the way, and it was through the Ark of the Covenant. The priests, the Levitical priests, pick up the Ark of the Covenant, and they went ahead of the people. And Joshua said, and this comes, this is from the 3rd chapter of Joshua. I want to read it for you again. This is starting on verse 2. At the end of 3 days, the officers went through the camp and commanded the people, when you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, your God, being carried by the Levitical priests, then you shall set out for the place. Follow it, so that you know the way you should go, for you have not passed this way before. Now, I remember the first time I stood on that lookout tower. I remember being able to look down and seeing my Jeep parked there. And I remember being able to see the road that we came in. But I could only see glimpses of where we were going. Well, those words from Joshua, they're so pivotal every time, because look, really, quite frankly, tomorrow we haven't been there yet. Even if tomorrow was the same as today, we haven't done tomorrow yet. We've done yesterday. And no matter how painful yesterday may have been, it'd be easier to go back to yesterday because we got through it. Tomorrow is still yet unknown. And it could be beautiful or it could be painful. But it is still unknown to us, and we don't like the unknown. But we have to face it. We can't go back to yesterday. We can't go back to before this. We can only get through this to the other side of it. And what the other side of it looks like, we don't know. When this will pass, we don't know. But what we do know is the God who's in front of us. We don't have the Ark of the Covenant to follow. We cannot get behind it and go because we've never gone that way before. We have the risen Christ to follow. And the risen Christ is the one who walked out of the grave. The risen Christ is the one who has given us life. We have that risen Christ to follow in the midst of this. We have the God who goes before us to follow in the midst of this. What does that look like? We don't know. But if we trust the God in front of us, then whatever it looks like, it'll be okay. If we trust that the God in front of us is going to lead us in the right direction and to the right place, then it's going to be okay regardless of what it looks like. Because that God knows more than we do. Look, we don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. We don't even know what the end of today is going to look like. But we know the God who does. And as we stand on the lookout tower of right now, we can look back over where we've come. And we can try to go back there, though we can't. We can't go back there. or we can look where we're going. Not necessarily with anxiety or fear, worry, or concern, but with the God who's ahead of us. A God who we trust with our very lives, our very beings. And if we hold on to that God and follow where that God goes, then it's going to be faithful. It may not be easy. It probably won't be. I think we can see throughout all of salvific history, those who follow God didn't always have it easy. But following God isn't a recipe for easy. Following God is a recipe for faithfulness. So what tomorrow looks like, we don't know. We just don't. But we know the God who does. And we follow that God who does. You know, I've said a couple of times, and I'm learning this more and more about myself each day. I have never met a hard day that has beat me. My percentage of getting through hard days is 100%, because I'm here. I may have been bruised, may have been broken, may have been hurting, but I still made it through. And if you hear the sound of my voice, so have you. That's not to say that you didn't come through unscathed, but you came through. We'll get through this because we have a God who's gone before us. What's it going to look like on the other side? We don't know. We don't know yet. But what we do know is that our God, the one who crucified, the one who walked out of the grave, the one who ascended on high and seated at the right hand of glory, the one who promises us life everlasting, that God goes before us. And if that God goes before us, then there's nothing that can overcome that. Paul tells us, I'm convinced that neither death nor life nor things present nor things to come nor anything in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus. It's that Christ Jesus who goes before us. So yeah, the way ahead's unclear. Maybe a little nerve-wracking, maybe a little anxious, but our God's going with us. Our God goes in front of us. And for that, we are thankful. For that, we are thankful. My friends, again, worship on Sunday at 11 o'clock. Communion wafers are out if anybody wants to stop by and pick them up. This is a joy for us, for Pastor Diane and I, to be able to do this, to be able to share a little bit of time and reflection with you. I really hope and long to see you face to face. I really hope and long to be able to greet you again. We don't know what the future holds. So until we do, we remain faithful where we are. Until we are told to move, we stand still. We rest, we heal, we love, we protect. Until we know for sure. My friends, may you be blessed today. May you know that God is with you. May you hear those words, that the God who loves you has wrapped those arms around you and goes before you in what you face. Be well, be blessed, and until we can see each other again face to face, have a beautiful day. We will see you soon.